The silence. The silence of a hungry child. The silence of a homeless woman. It's just enough strength to hold her hand out. The silence of a family member that decided today is their last day. The silence of a country that ignores its poorest. The silent cry of giving. If we are going to fix inequity in the world, giving must become a revolution. It must find its way into the ink that writes our public policy, lining the streets of every impoverished community, seeping into the hearts and minds of our most powerful people and notable institutions. In the Bible it says, give, and it shall be given unto you. The Quran states, be steadfast in prayer. Practice daily charity. In the Torah, the act of giving is called tzedakah. So if the world's most practiced religions emphasize the importance of giving, do we ever really learn how to give? And if so, what makes a thoughtful, cheerful giver? If we are going to raise the next generation of thoughtful givers, we would do it with three things: exposure, education, and empowerment. Education only comes after I'm exposed. Consider a recent study that concluded children that are exposed to their parents reading them books, 5 books a day, enter kindergarten hearing 1.4 million more words than a child that was never read to. Now, I travel all across the country, going to some of the most impoverished areas and looking into the eyes of children and letting them know that if you see it, you can be it. And in the South Bronx, where half of the people there are underserved and almost half of the children living in poverty, you immediately see and feel the need for an abundance of giving. Exposure leads to expansion. Education. I stand before you as a first-generation high school graduate. I stand before you as a black man that got a job on Wall Street and was called out of his name repeatedly. I stand before you as a CEO of a tech startup because of education. 10% of black boys in this country in 8th grade read at level. 10%. Every child in America deserves a high quality financial education, regardless of their color or their zip code. Empowerment. That's the most impactful of these. There's nothing better than giving someone a blueprint, a repeatable blueprint of self-mastery. Because if I empower you, now I've given you the resources, I've given you the idea, the ability, but first I exposed you, I educated you, and now I empower you with a promise to help, to inspire, to undergird until you are strong. I often use the example of an individual that may be struggling, making ends meet, struggling with an addiction. Now, anybody that's struggling with addiction, sure, it's easy to say that person should probably get it together. And someone that's struggling with their finances, yeah, they're just a spendthrift. They should just create a budget. But if I empower that individual, not only do I give them money, but I give them my full commitment to stand until they are strong and committed to getting better on their own volition. Because if all I give you is money, I rob you. But if I give you my promise to stay until you get it, not only do you get your finances in order, but you kick the addiction. You choose your children over dope. Empowerment changes family history, raises people from the depths of poverty, inspires the future leaders of America. 3 E's. The power of giving. I'd like to end with a personal story. I travel to cities all across the country, big cities, rich cities, similar to the one we're standing in right now. And I always go to the bank. I grab some cash in my pocket. Because I know I'm going to see homeless people that inexplicably line the streets of every major city in this country. My mother raised me that if you see somebody in need, they were put in your eye's view for a reason, to help them. And if you can't help them, you pray for them. The money in my pocket is an immediate salve for a country that has forgotten the underclass. So I'm walking, it's late, I could feel like the hero, had meetings all day, exhausted, I put in a good day's work, honorable. So I'm crossing the street, see a homeless man barely hold his hand out to ask for money. People passing him. And as I'm crossing the street, I grab the money out of my pocket and I look and it's a couple dollars here. That's all I had left. Been giving out money all day. And to make it clear, it wasn't giving out a lot of money. Just enough for somebody, something to drink that we take for granted. Food that we take for granted. Hot water. A bed to sleep in. A door. A door that locks. I approach him, and I put the money in his hand. And I grabbed him, and I said, I appreciate you. He cried. Like a baby. And he said, people throw money at me all day. But no one has ever told me they appreciated me. And we hugged And we cried. I started this talk by saying that giving needs to become a revolution. And now I'm asking you, will you become a revolutionary? Thank you.